Put on your diapers, grab a sword, and head out for a beautiful stroll on campus. This week's episode of Gen V will have you going,
What? What the f?
We'll be going over who Cipher really is, if Annabeth's vision is real, what's next for the gang, and most importantly, why was Doug fired from Blockbuster? But before we get into it, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I write and edit all these videos on my own, and need to prove to my parents my life isn't a disappointment.
You serious?
Our episode begins with Annabeth's power. Her ability to see into the future has given her an ominous vision, that of her dead sister, Marie. But this doesn't necessarily mean Marie will die. Annabeth's powers aren't 100% accurate. She's even admitted that these visions sometimes don't come true. Plus, she didn't predict getting sent to Elmira or her throat being slit by Cipher. So we have to take this premonition with a grain of salt. Then we need to ask ourselves, is this even Marie? Notice some weird dilation going on with the eyes. Could this be a shapeshifter? I've theorized that we could see Jordan leveling up their power by being able to shapeshift beyond genders and morph into other people. Perhaps this is a sacrifice to buy the real Marie enough time to take down Godolkin. Annabeth alerts the others to this grim future, and this has got to be a total gut punch for Jordan. Marie, just like she did at Elmira before episode 1, has once again abandoned them. Take note that Zoe Newman is listening to all of this, that Marie's life is in danger, and Annabeth has foreshadowed her death. You better believe the first thing she'll do is notify Grandpa Stan Edgar, who last episode expressed his desire to use Marie in his takeover of Vought. As soon as he finds out his star soup is putting herself in harm's way, I imagine he'll be making his way to Godolkin. And if you believe the theory that Stan Edgar is Frederick Vought, we could be looking at an insane Vought-Godolkin reunion. Kate and Marie haven't been the best of friends this season. I mean, what do you expect when you frame one of your best friends for the massacre at Godolkin and spend the next several months imprisoned at Elmira? The only reason Marie lets Kate tag along is she doesn't want her going back and telling the others. Marie's on a mission to find the burned man, who she believes may be Thomas Godolkin. If that's the case, they could use him to stop Cipher for good. Kate wants to help, but her powers have been on the fritz ever since being blasted into a wall in episode 201. So she asks Marie, who miraculously resurrected her sister from the dead, to use her powers and heal her brain. But for Marie, there's no chance in hell she's going to risk healing a woman who historically has made just the worst decisions. Add the fact how powerful her power is, it just isn't worth the risk. Vought makes you feel stronger and better than the others. That's how they control you. And it's kind of ironic that the same thing is now being done to Marie. Stan Edgar and Cipher have both said Marie could be the strongest soup to ever live, and you can imagine they both want to control her. Kate vows that she'll find a way to prove to Marie that she's changed, foreshadowing a big sacrifice from her in the finale. One theory suggests Kate will die, taking her power to the extreme, perhaps using it to disable Cipher's mind control should he attempt to take over the students. But will she then be resurrected by Marie, and would that heal her power? It would be kind of ironic that the one who orchestrated a massacre at the end of Season 1 is the one to stop it at the end of Season 2. Annabeth and Jordan drive back to campus while Emma hitches a ride with Sam and his jumping power. Jordan and Annabeth are surprisingly similar. They both tried to hide their powers, fearing what those around them would think. Now, Jordan can't imagine being their true self without them, something Annabeth will need to embrace. We'll learn that Annabeth's powers started at a young age. In fact, she foreshadowed the death of her parents and feels tremendous guilt for not doing anything to stop it. As she'll later tell Marie, it was easier to hate and blame her than herself. Marie and Kate arrive at Cipher's with the hope of finding the burned man. However, the place is surprisingly quiet. They even enter without having to make a guard. A lawn gnome. Marie can sense someone inside with a weak heartbeat. It's not the burned man, but Polarity. Last episode, Polarity used a sort of EMP blast to disable Cipher's power, and this just might be what they need to put a stop to him. More disturbing is Cipher's plan to cull the students at Godolkin by 70%, the first step toward culling the entire world to make way for a soup master race. This idea that Cipher's power can be stopped by Polarity is a huge game changer. So much so that Cipher considers suicide, saying things like, "Yup, it's over, and I should probably just end it," while getting ready to bash the burned man's head with an oxygen tank. This will all make a bit more sense when we get to the episode's big reveal. But before we get there, Cipher's interrupted by his home's security camera, alerting him to Marie's presence. Sister Sage predicted that Marie would come back, and she's the only one that can theoretically heal the burned man before time runs out. He's slowly dying, and Polarity could be on his way to kill Cipher at any moment. Marie catches Polarity up to speed, telling him they think the burned man is Thomas Godolkin, and Edgar believes if it is Godolkin, he could be used to take down both Cipher and Homelander.
Look, Godolkin could be the key to everything, to taking down Homelander.
But there's a problem. Polarity's in rough shape, and even if he could use his powers again, he runs the risk of it killing him. This is when he's unexpectedly hit with another one of his seizures. Marie quickly gets to work, using her newly acquired healing ability to mend the micro tears in his brain. It's so successful, even his tremors stop. Now the team has what it takes to take on Cipher. The only question is, where is he, and where is the burned man? Back on campus, Sam and Emma arrive where Rufus isn't too pleased with Sam missing most of Pledge Week. I mean, these bondage babies aren't going to look after themselves. And if things couldn't get worse for Sam, we have that no-good Greg macking on his woman. It looks like we have one more episode to find out if this Greg guy's intentions are good, or if there's something a little more sinister about him. Remember, all we really know about him is that his parents paid for the Godolkin library, and he's been more than eager to help Emma out even when it involves risking his own life. Some theories suggest he and his sister could be working with Godolkin or some other third party. Sam, Greg, and Emma split up with Sam getting paired with his baby bondage pledge, Hempel. His powers are that he can turn his feet into hands, which has gotta be really kinky if you're into foot jobs. Naming the soup Hempel reads like a sly wink to the German Hampelmann, the classic jumping jack puppet with articulated limbs that springs to life when a string is pulled. The name literally means flunky, or someone easily manipulated by another, and as we'll see in the episode's final scene, Hempel gets his strings pulled by the wrong guy. The next stop on Where's Cipher takes Polarity, Marie, and Kate to the Dean's office. Polarity suggests Marie heal Kate so that she can use her powers to push someone and find out where Cipher took the burned man. After all, this is a huge campus, someone must have seen where they went. This is a risk Marie isn't willing to take, going so far as to say it was Kate who turned them into Vought and got them sent to Elmira, which would eventually kill Andre. Polarity argues the blame shouldn't fall on Kate, but Vought. Vought makes you do things you never thought you'd do. If there's someone to blame for Andre's death, it should be him. He didn't protect him like he should. He knew his powers were killing him and didn't tell Andre the same thing could happen to him. Even this impassioned speech isn't enough to sway Marie. All the more evidence to suggest Kate will have to make a big sacrifice next episode in order to atone and get her powers back. A phone call from Cipher interrupts their meeting where Cipher reiterates the terms of his deal. If Marie comes back to training, he will spare her and her friends. I found it a bit odd that he uses words like adorbs and boo, especially considering his true identity. He also seems to have a bit more pep in his step considering a few minutes ago he was contemplating suicide. Something has changed, but we'll get to that in a bit. Marie recognizes the sound of the training room vault doors in the background, pinpointing Cipher's location. Jordan and Annabeth arrive on campus when Annabeth experiences more visions of the future. Marie covered in blood on the ground of hero optimization class. There are some interesting things to point out here. First is the raining blood, and second, the levitating blood coming out of Marie's body. If Marie is dead, how is her power still being used? Could someone be using Marie's own powers to bring her back, such as Harper or Godolkin? At the Students' Union, we get a brief glimpse of the current Godolkin rankings with Marie number 1, Sam 2, and a Zoe Gonzalez number 3. It's hard to see because my copy was so bad, but rounding out the top 10 is Maverick, the invisible soup who was Marie's Dawn in season 1. Sam opens up about his jealousy of Greg and Emma, and she's like,
"It's time to stop!
These are new feelings for him, and conveying them is difficult. Although he's trying to be normal, he'll need to learn that Emma didn't like him because he was normal, she liked him for who he was. On their way to Cipher, Marie senses the weak heartbeat of the burned man below them in the basement. But before she goes in, she's stopped by Annabeth, warning her of her potential fate. Marie can't just sit by while Cipher plans on culling the university. Besides, Annabeth's powers haven't necessarily been reliable, so this vision of her death might not necessarily come true. This is when Annabeth drops the bomb that she knew about their parents dying before it happened. She doesn't want to see a repeat of the past. This time, she can stop it, but nothing seems to be getting through to Marie. She believes she's the only one who can wake Godolkin up, stop Cipher, and even Homelander. Jordan won't let her go in there and kill herself, and just when it looks like they're going to stop Marie, Marie levitates them all. She's even willing to give Kate her powers back if she'll use them to keep them away. But Kate vowed she would never use her powers against them. This was the first time I was genuinely scared of Marie. Yeah, I get that her heart is in the right place, but how far would she be willing to go to do what she thinks is right? It's like Kate last season. She did the things she did because she thought they were right. She ends up dropping the others while Polarity makes his way to confront Cipher in the training room. Cipher's inspecting a wide array of blades when he's confronted by Polarity. This should be someone he's scared of, considering just last episode, Polarity was able to disable his power, but Cipher's figured out his trick. Polarity used something called transcranial magnetic stimulation to create changing magnetic fields that mess with the nerve cells in the brain. And while it does stop him from controlling Polarity, it doesn't necessarily stop him from controlling others. Cipher can still use his powers to puppeteer those around him, like Sam, Jordan, and Greg. Now Polarity doesn't know who's really being controlled or not. Cipher can only control one soup at a time. However, I think this is about to change. When he mentioned that the students will use these weapons on themselves, it suggests a level of mind control that affects the entire student body. This is where the burned man comes in. Down in the basement, Marie finds this man and asks if he's Thomas Godolkin. He nods in the affirmative. If he promises to help her, she will heal him, and that's exactly what she does. Using her power, she heals all his burns to reveal the body of Thomas Godolkin. And I thought it was interesting that he hasn't really aged. He has essentially been restored to the same condition he was before the lab incident. At the same time, Polarity uses his EMP blast, which brings Cipher to heal. But just as he's about to off him for good, Cipher pleads for his life, saying, "I'm not him." He explains that his back and ribs hurt, likely from the flying kettleballs Polarity threw at him. Cipher used to not feel any pain, but it looks as though Marie's healing of Thomas Godolkin has severed the hold Thomas Godolkin had over Cipher, or should we say Doug Brightbill. And I guess I should say it wasn't really a severing, rather than Thomas Godolkin doesn't need him anymore. In fact, there never was any Cipher. Cipher was Thomas Godolkin all along. And this poor guy, well, he's an absolute nobody. Just some guy named Doug who had a cat named Buster, drove a Honda Civic, and was fired from his last job at Blockbuster. That last detail is actually pretty important, as it dates him to the time his body was taken over by Godolkin. We know that Marie was born in 2005 and delivered by Godolkin using Doug's body posing as Dr. Gold. Blockbuster was founded 20 years earlier in 1985. So sometime between 1985 and 2005 was when Godolkin took over Doug's body. This is also why Marie never sensed any compound V in him. Doug is a human. I also got the feeling Doug is not actually Godolkin's son. Rather, that line was a misdirect by Godolkin. Now that we know Cipher was Godolkin all along, it changes the context of some of his past interactions. For example, when he talked about his father taking him to Australia, this would be Godolkin's father, and this would have probably happened in the 1940s or 50s. Or let's take when Cipher berated the burned man, calling him a puny dumpster baby. It's Godolkin taking his anger out on Doug the only way he can, or maybe he's just a masochist. We know Godolkin has a disdain for weak soups. I can only imagine how much he detests regular humans who would be a step below them. But that leaves a huge chunk of time from 1967 to 1985 unaccounted for. What was Godolkin doing during that time? Who was taking care of him? I really hope that the finale dives into Godolkin's origin story and fills in the gaps of what he was doing for those years. When Godolkin arises fully healed, his first line is, "My God, you did it." It's a cheeky double meaning. My God can refer to Marie herself, as Godolkin has always had an obsession with turning soups into gods. His own statue reads, "The path shall begin here where mortals become gods." And in one of his final lines of the episode, he states,
"We want gods to walk this earth, not circus freaks."
And we know he doesn't believe in God.
It's enough to make you believe there's a heaven, which is completely f***ing absurd.
Decades of pain have released from his body, and he thanks Marie for what she's done. But notice this interesting line here, and I want you to think about who he is referring to.
She was right. She knew. You couldn't stop yourself. It's annoying how smart she is.
Earlier in the episode, Godolkin stated that Sister Sage was right about Marie coming back. And with Sister Sage being the smartest person on the planet, that is likely who he's talking about. It pretty much confirms their love affair with each other, as when Sister Sage was making sweet puppet love to Doug's body, she was really looking at Godolkin. But I have a feeling Sister Sage has an ulterior motive with Godolkin, that she's just using him for a bigger plan. That's because I've never really heard Sister Sage mention wanting to create a soup master race. Why would she want that? In fact, her want, at least personally, is to be more human. That's why she self-lobotomizes in order to feel normal for a few hours. We know she played Homelander in Season 4. Could she be playing Godolkin for some yet-to-be-revealed reason? The real nail in the coffin proving Cipher is Godolkin comes with this line, "Our value in this world comes and goes with our powers. Without them, we are nothing." This is the same thing Cipher said to Kate in episode 203. That's when she's like,
We've got to get out of here.
And then he gives this creepy smile to Kate. Fully healed and diaper firmly attached, Godolkin makes his way outside to the campus he founded over 60 years ago. It's kind of funny we have two men in diapers, yet for completely different reasons. Unfortunately for Hempel, he won't get to see to the end of his pledge. Godolkin knows he's in the bottom 10% of the rankings and has him choke himself to death. It looks like the culling is about to begin. With Godolkin back to his old self, what will he plan to do next? And will his power have increased in strength? Does being younger and healthier mean he can now mind control dozens or hundreds of people at a time? I still think he's not done with Marie. He stated in episode 205 that her powers will not only be his salvation, but the world's, so it's possible he still needs her in one way or another. But to figure out what's in store for us, we venture into our last trailer sleuthing section. We only have a few shots left, so let's see what we can find. The vast majority of the finale's remaining clips take place in hero optimization class. For example, here we have Marie flinging some blood, but look at her hairstyle and gray sweatshirt. It's completely different than when we last left her. It suggests that some time has passed since episode 207, which I find interesting since it feels like the finale should start right where we left off. Hero optimization class is also where Annabeth predicted Marie would die, but in Annabeth's visions, Marie's hair and clothing look different than this gray sweatshirt shot. In fact, Annabeth is the one wearing a gray sweatshirt in the quick shot we get of her in the reflection of Marie's blood. So we have to question what we're really seeing in this vision. I think episode 8 will see some sort of mass mind control, judging by this super weird choreographed dance number. First of all, there is blood and debris everywhere. I think Godolkin may have mind controlled all of them at the same time, making them dance like puppets. Another shot of Marie in hero optimization class with yet another hairstyle and different wardrobe, so the finale might actually span several days. It's this shot, however, that makes me believe Marie is controlled by Godolkin. Notice her emotionless face as she's using her power to boil Sam's blood. Plus, the hands are in this puppeteer-like placement. Later, we'll see Marie pooling blood from surrounding bodies. This could very well line up with this shot, with Polarity storming in all electrified, ready to EMP blast his way into class. If this person over here is Godolkin, Polarity could be using this to potentially stop Godolkin's mind control. Finally, we have a shot of Polarity hunted down by Black Noir. Godolkin, through Sister Sage, may have ordered Black Noir to kill him since he's the only real threat to his mind control power. But now that Polarity has his power back, here's hoping he can get out of that situation. There is a metallic car behind him, so who knows? And that about does it for this week's video, which means I turn it over to you. What do you think will happen next episode? I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember...
We'll just have to tune in next week to find out, won't we?